The fascinating thing about when you look at Paul preaching the gospel, I didn't realize this, but there have been, it says in Galatians 2:1, after an interval of 14 years, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and taking Titus also. This is Paul talking. And it was because of a revelation that I went up and I submitted to them, and he's talking about the apostles, I submitted to them the gospel which I preach among the Gentiles. Okay, so Paul preached 14 years a gospel that had been revealed to him. Then he went to check it with the guys that walked with Jesus and said, is this right? Right? And then I guess, I don't know, nobody ever taught that, but there was a long time where Paul was preaching based on what he had seen, but hadn't affirmed it with the ones who had witnessed it with Christ. Well, the good news, thankfully, is that they did what the Bible calls extended the right hand of fellowship. They affirmed, the apostles affirmed Paul in the gospel of Christ, which he was preaching. Okay, so we're all good here. But then an interesting thing happens. And it says in verse 10, they, the apostles, only asked us to remember the poor, the very thing I was also eager to do. Okay, when you're talking about the gospel and the core of the gospel, affirming Christ and his life and his sacrifice and his, he is, the Messiah, the prophecies fulfilled, you don't add anything to that, right? But they did. Remember the poor. And so when I look around and I hear a lot of great things going on in the church, I love my church. I'm blessed by my church. We should be plugged into the local church. But we have to remember that the core of the gospel is Christ, is his lordship, is his sacrifice, his resurrection, and it's remembering the poor. What does remembering the poor look like? Well, Jesus talked about this many times. James talked about it in his book. It is seeing that need and meeting it. It's that simple. But we overlook this. Sometimes we put it off on someone else. God is calling the church of America, the church of the West, the church in affluent areas that have means to remember the poor. And how do we do it? We open our eyes, we see the need, and we respond as we can.